Trying to solve the puzzling San Diego Chargers can be a frustrating endeavor. Every time it seems they've found the right combination for success, something prevents them from clicking into place. The problem certainly isn't their colorful offense, which was in full force last week against Buffalo. A 67-yard touchdown reception by Kellen Winslow, number 80, helped Dan Fouts exceed the 4,000-yard passing mark for the third consecutive season. And with Fouts throwing for 2 first-half scores, the Chargers' share of the AFC West lead appeared secure. But while San Diego's offense always poses an enigma for opponents, the Bills' Joe Ferguson was aware that the Chargers' defense has been nothing to shout about this season. Ferguson and determined receivers like Lou Picone, number 89, kept the Bills fighting for their playoff life. With Ferguson passing for nearly 200 yards in the second half, the Bills matched San Diego blow for blow, then eventually assumed a 1-point lead. Number 82, Frank Lewis, caught 5 passes for over 100 yards, and Roosevelt Leaks, number 48, accounted for 2 of Buffalo's 3 rushing touchdowns. But the Bills were less successful when attempting razzle-dazzle, as defenders like Lyndon King, number 57, tripped up Buffalo's hopes of turning the contest into a rout. With less than 2 minutes remaining, the Chargers drove to the Buffalo 32. Their destiny was in their hands, but not for long. Chuck Muncie's fumble was recovered by number 28, Rufus Bess, and the Bills remained in the complex AFC playoff puzzle. A puzzle that San Diego might not fit into by season's end. The Chargers' loss put Kansas City and Denver on a collision course for first place in the AFC West. There were times, however, when the Bronco defense appeared to be on a collision course with itself. But Denver defenders also registered considerable impact on the visiting Chiefs, and especially on Steve Fuller, who was sacked 4 times. The most jarring shock to Kansas City's system occurred early as Craig Morton combined with number 81 Steve Watson for an 86-yard pass play on the game's first series. While number 26, Gary Barbaro, prevented Watson from reaching the end zone, the Chiefs could not stop running backs like Larry Canada, number 35, who produced one of Denver's 2 rushing scores. With a 16-13 victory, Denver found itself all alone atop the AFC West. And what was supposed to be a rebuilding year is now shaping up as a Cinderella season. Two other Cinderella teams squared off in Cincinnati. The high-powered Bengals offense figured to turn the 49ers into pumpkins in this meeting, but San Francisco's young secondary displayed a desire to keep on dancing long after midnight. Cincinnati's principal nemesis was rookie cornerback Ronnie Lott, number 42, who forced 2 fumbles. Prior to this contest, the Bengals had turned over the ball fewer times than any team in the NFL, but they suffered 6 turnovers against the 49ers, including an interception by Lott. Cincinnati produced more total yardage than the 49ers, but all they could show for it was a scant 3 points, while San Francisco refused to be intimidated by the Bengals' rugged defense. Joe Montana threw for 2 scores in a 21-3 victory that earned San Francisco the home field advantage in the NFC playoffs. While the AFC playoff picture remains as confounding as a Rubik's Cube, the 49ers keep on clicking to a rhythm that's produced the NFL's best record. Normally, a 4-9 record does not provide the impetus for pregame fun and games. But on this day, the Seahawks faced the Jets, a team they had beaten 5 straight times. In fact, Seattle had never lost to the Jets. The Seahawks were without Jim Zorn, however. In his place was free agent Dave Krieg, and it didn't take long for the Jets defense to initiate Krieg in the ways of NFL defense. But the second-year quarterback from small Milton College proved resilient, teaming with none other than Steve Largent, number 80. What was usually Zorn to Largent became Krieg to Largent without losing a step. The new dynamic duo got some help from their friends. Theodis Brown, number 30, since his acquisition from St. Louis, has added the needed running dimension to the Seahawks offense. Against the Jets, Brown scored from 21 yards. On defense, the featured performer was Jacob Green. Green, number 79, helped shut down New York's ground game as the Seahawks controlled the Jets' explosive offense. But with Seattle leading 20-16 in the fourth quarter, the Jets got a break. Number 83, Jerome Barkin's reception of a tipped ball led to a score, and New York went ahead 23-20. For Seattle, no need to worry. Krieg simply dropped back and threw a 57-yard touchdown to Largent as the Seahawks rebounded to win 27-23. A new hero had stepped forth in the Pacific Northwest. With his performance, Krieg joined the growing number of reserve quarterbacks who have exploded onto the NFL scene in 1981. Another is in St. Louis, where Neil Lomax has led the Cardinals to 4 consecutive wins since taking over the starting job. Last week against the Saints, Lomax ran for 1 score in St. Louis's 30-3 victory. The indefatigable Roy Green capped the victory. Green, number 25, who caught a pass and intercepted a pass, raced 44 yards from punt formation for the Cardinals' final touchdown. The win left St. Louis at 7-7 with a remaining shot at a wild card berth. This week, the Cardinals play the Giants in a divisional rivalry that takes on added significance. For New York is also 7-7 following last week's 10-7 win over Los Angeles. Rob Carpenter's catch highlighted a weekday of offense, but it didn't matter. The Giants' defense dominated this game. Lawrence Taylor, number 56, a powerful blitzer from his right linebacker position, pressured Rams quarterback Pat Haden throughout most of the game. When Taylor wasn't blitzing, he was dropping back into pass coverage and picking off Haden's tosses. For the better part of 3 quarters, the team struggled through a 7-7 tie. Then the Giants' special teams produced the play that gave New York the victory. Leon Bright, number 45, took a Los Angeles punt and went 55 yards to the Rams' 8-yard line. A Joe Danello field goal followed, and the Giants remained alive in the playoff sweepstakes. Why are these men smiling? Sam Ratigliano's Browns and Ed Biles' Oilers will not be in the playoffs. Oh well, might as well enjoy what's left of the season. That's been rather difficult for Cleveland quarterback Brian Sipe. Sipe has spent most of 1981 running from NFL defenses. It was no different against Houston. Mike Pruitt's catch bailed Sipe out on this play, but defenders like Ted Washington, number 59, prevented Sipe and the Browns offense from performing the magic that had been their trademark the last 2 seasons. Gifford Nielsen's touchdown pass to Dave Casper helped the Oilers beat Cleveland 17-13. Playoff teams a year ago, all Houston and Cleveland have left is the chance to spoil the hopes of others fighting for postseason play. What's it like to live in a monarchy? Ask the Chicago Bears. They reside in the NFC Central, a place ruled by the Minnesota Vikings, who have worn the division crown 11 of the last 13 years. The Vikings' current king in power is quarterback Tommy Kramer. But last Sunday, the Bears secondary did not give Kramer the royal treatment. Number 20, Reuben Henderson's interception was indicative of a tenacious Chicago defense, which held the NFC's most prolific passer to just 6 first-half completions. However, Kramer's performance improved, and he excelled in the game's later moments. But again, the Bears secondary stymied the Vikings, this time with the element of surprise. Ironically, interceptions and receiver-related fumbles have been more characteristic of the Bears than the Vikings. In 1981, Chicago's passing attack ranks last in the NFL, but it took just one toss to relieve an entire season of anguish. A 72-yard strike to wide receiver Brian Baschnagel was the Bears' only touchdown, but it was enough to down the Vikings 10-9. The loss was the Vikings' 5th in their last 7 games and shockingly knocked them off the NFC Central throne. Maybe they've never heard of parity in Minnesota, but in Green Bay, Lynn Dickey's hearing is just fine, and Detroit's Silver Rush made him hear footsteps. The Lion defense handed out a fair share of bell ringers for the day. And when number 20, Billy Sims, got near the goal line, he too knew how to chime in. This rough and tumble style earned Detroit an early 10-0 lead. But since Dickey knew that a lion can't devour what it can't catch, he passed over them to number 80, James Lofton. Although they connected just 4 times, Dickey and Lofton averaged 23 yards per reception and consistently came up with the big play. Together, they paced the Packers to a 31-17 win to improve Green Bay's record to 7-7. Just a month ago, Green Bay was considered an also-ran, but by winning 4 of their last 5 games, the Pack is definitely back. A month's time has also dramatically changed the complexion of the AFC East. In early November, the Dolphins had an enjoyable 2-game margin over the Jets, but subsequent Miami losses placed the 2 teams in a tie for first place. Against the Patriots, Miami's backsliding had seemingly grown worse. The Patriots were intent on snapping a 14-game losing streak at the Orange Bowl and eager to prove that they are still one of the league's most talented squads. Defensively, the Patriots secondary limited Miami to just 11 completions, while the New England running game enjoyed great success behind number 73, John Hanna, who first neutralized the outside linebacker, then instinctively looked back inside for a second block. Besides offering all-pro escort service, Hanna and company gave quarterback Matt Cavanaugh ample protection. And when Cavanaugh spotted tight end Don Hasselbeck for 6 points, New England had thoroughly dominated the first quarter. But New England's problems stem from their tendency to self-destruct. And after Dolphins safety Mike Kozlowski recovered this fumble for a touchdown, there seemed little that New England could do right. Number 22, Tony Nathan, rushed for 119 yards to record his first 100-yard rushing performance of his career. As the game progressed, Dolphins' setbacks became more and more effective, and by the second half, virtually every Miami play involved a running back. Although the Patriots knew what was coming, they couldn't stop it. Number 31, Eddie Hill's game-winning score clinched a 24-14 Dolphin win and moved Miami into undisputed possession of first place in the AFC East. Without another letdown, the Dolphins' sights are on the playoffs, providing they don't lose their sight first. The illustrated definition of the term game face is clearly portrayed by Dick Vermeil, whose Eagles have taken a nosedive with a 3-game losing streak. While the offense searches for a new identity, the Philadelphia defense continues to play like league leaders. Against Washington, the Eagles secondary limited Redskin receivers to just 68 yards. Renard Wilson, number 22, recorded one of 2 Eagle interceptions, and the only offensive touchdown the Redskins could muster was a 6-yard sprint by Joe Washington, number 25. Two touchdowns by Billy Campfield, number 37, put the Eagles up by 7 at the half. But for the 3rd straight week, the Eagles have failed to produce a second-half touchdown. Ahead 13-6 in the 4th quarter, Philadelphia again fell victim to their own mistakes. Monty Coleman's interception return for a touchdown, plus a Mark Mosley field goal, gave the Redskins the go-ahead points with 2:07 remaining. But the Eagles forged a 77-yard comeback drive, and a short-range field goal would have put the game away. The Eagles were writing the perfect ending to a comeback story. But on the 7-yard line, their pens ran out of ink. Eagle Division title hopes may have slipped away in one moment of slapstick that only the state of Texas and a few Redskins found funny. The 15-13 loss dropped the Birds further behind the Dallas Cowboys, who witnessed some slapstick comedy in Baltimore at the expense of the Colts. With Baltimore quarterback Burt Jones benched, running back Curtis Dickey, number 27, was back as a starter. Dickey scored both Baltimore touchdowns from 20 and 67 yards and reaffirmed himself as football's fastest human. The Cowboys countered with their highest single-game rushing total ever. Tony Dorsett ran for 175 yards, and James Jones, number 23, finalized the Dallas scoring with a 59-yarder. James Jones, like the author of the same name, went from here to eternity, and the 37-13 win stretched the Cowboys' division lead to 2 games over Philadelphia. The defending NFC West champion Falcons have their backs to the wall and would gladly accept a wild card invitation to this year's playoff party. But after meeting Tampa Bay, they may have to mail in their regrets. A 38-yard scoring pass to Jimmy Giles had Tampa Bay running on the inside track until Atlanta quarterback Steve Bartkowski took the high road to Alfred Jenkins, number 84. Complementing Jenkins' aerial act was a ground force wearing number 31, fullback William Andrews. Andrews' 2 touchdowns gained the Falcons a 23-17 lead in the final period. But while the offense provided the legwork for the points, it was the suspect Atlanta secondary that proved to be the Falcons' Achilles heel. Kevin House's 71-yard touchdown earned the Bucs a 24-23 win and sole possession of first place in the NFC Central Division. The Falcons dropped to 7-7 and further jeopardized their postseason party plans.